Hey, here we go. Fireside Chat, AI with Alec. We got Josh Mohrer here. This is going to be a tough one for me to be quiet on for so many reasons, which you're all going to figure out. When ChatGPT was launched, some of the sharpest, smartest, gnarliest investors and operators and entrepreneurs, Chamath Palihapitiya, shout out, said, we're going to see a solopreneur build a unicorn. And I'm not putting any pressure on you, Josh. You know, maybe it'll be you. But there are a lot of people on AI Twitter that get real excited about what you've built with Wave. So let's get right to it. What is Wave?
Yeah.
Why is it so exciting for someone with your background to be able to do this and help us understand why nerds like me get so excited to talk to people like you?
Sure. So there's a few layers of the story. First off, Wave is an AI audio recorder. You record audio, it transcribes that into language and then summarizes that. So you might use that for a meeting that's in person or at a coffee shop or a doctor's visit or a brain dump when you're on a walk thinking about something and you just want to get it out. And it transcribes and summarizes. And the business around that has gotten successful over the last year. But the origin of it was really using AI to try to build my first app. I spent a long time on the operations side. I was early at Uber. I launched and led the business here in the New York area. And I did that for about 5.5 years. I was a VC for a bit after that. I took another operating role, but I've always sort of had some engineer envy. In like the 90s when I was in high school, the first time I had access to fast internet, I was in a computer science seminar. And rather than pay attention, I learned how to sell on this new website called eBay.
I've heard of that website.
Yeah, this was like 1997. And so I started selling stuff online, and e-commerce and kind of operating in that world became my job and sort of what I did for the next couple of decades. And Uber was kind of a step on that path. I was good at selling things online, and I had a technical bent, but was never doing proper engineering. ChatGPT came out, and I had an opportunity to ask any question I wanted. I didn't have to tap an engineer friend on the shoulder and say what's the point of a server? All the stupid things that you sort of learn along the way. I had something that I could ask. And so right around then I said, well, what else can this do? I want to build an app that maybe does this or that, or I want to record audio and then transcribe it and summarize it. And really this was just to scratch my own itch. A couple months after that, my dad got sick. He's okay now, but he had to go to doctor's visits that, despite being a doctor himself, he found confusing, as did my mom. They'd come out and be unable to explain what exactly happened in detail. And I said, hey, I made this app just for fun. Why don't you bring it to the next appointment and see what happens? And he got an amazing summary from it. And there was a bit of an aha moment there. Okay, everyone was building AI tools for themselves to record Zooms and meets, or to do things in the web browser, or to do things sort of like an opinionated workflow that would help them. But there wasn't a lot of sort of generic AI stuff out there for normals on their mobile device. And so I'd always wanted to build an app. I had tried a couple times in the past, ran into brick walls. You can only learn so much on Google and YouTube, though you can actually learn quite a bit. ChatGPT got me the kind of rest of the way there. And so fast forward about, from that first moment, it's been a couple of years, really a year and a half of working on Wave. And now we record 6,000 hours of audio per day. It's used by 22,000 subscribers and, growing every day. And it's been a ton of fun and mostly on my own.
Absolutely incredible. And I'm glad to hear your father's doing better. But, the way that you just shaped that, I think, let me play something back because I saw it on Twitter and you fact checked me on this, but in line with this notion of someone with your profile or others like myself that didn't study computer science necessarily per se and has a classic engineering background, is it safe to say that you as a solopreneur effectively has stood up a product that is now generating 7 figures in revenue, right, on an annualized basis? And you're up and to the right, and you feel very comfortable as a non-engineer building and developing and expanding upon your roadmap. Is that all kind of fair? And you want to dig in a little bit on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a conception that the AI helping you code is sort of put it into a black box, say I want an app that does this, and it pushes that out the other side. That for very basic demos of things that have already like existed, sure. But in reality, it's just a teacher, a partner, someone who can do the work with you. And so I've learned a ton, and I would maybe say that I'm not a non-engineer anymore. Maybe I'm an engineer. I mean, that's certainly the aspiration. It was like, I am sick of the business side. It's been great. I've done okay, but I really want to, but I sort of always felt, even before the AI revolution, that the engineers were kind of having all the fun because they were making the thing. And so, if I think about the difference between being an operator in like 2012 when I started at Uber, and then like a decade later for my last operating role, the tooling really changed so much. There's just so many different, things we take for granted, like Slack and Meet, and even the thing that we're using to record this, like all the stuff has popped up that makes so many things so much easier. I would look at AI as sort of another step like that. It's another kind of user interface. It's one that accepts natural language and can return things that it's seen before in the way that you ask. So it's like, I'm making this app in React Native. I'm trying to build a feature that does this. Help me do it. And it can do that.
So do you feel that, generally speaking, the tools are all there so that if anyone that has the time, the ambition, the drive, that they can figure out how to build software that can become a business? Is that generally a fair statement?
I'd say that, yes, with enough time. I mean, I've really grinded it out with this one, much to the chagrin of my family, of my wife and kids, who see me do this. I spend a lot of time on it because I want to, and I enjoy it. And it's a natural, like, I'm attracted to this. If you're not, then no, you probably can't do that. But I think if you have the motivation, it certainly gives you more leverage. I mean, and if you think about what it would take to start a website or an app or whatever 20 years ago versus 10 years ago versus now, it's much easier now than a decade ago. But similarly, it's much easier a decade ago than it was the decade before that. So just everything is getting easier. And I think you said in the intro about the first solo unicorn. I don't really want that. As a matter of fact, I think, when I got a bunch of inbound from VC since I used to be one, and I was at Uber and all this, and like, I'm the target for that, and I appreciate it. But if you bring that on, all of a sudden you have to become a unicorn. This sort of, bar for success gets raised materially when you bring on investors and other people and all this. So I think what's been nice about this is it feels more like an artisan sort of making a thing in a shop. Like, that's kind of what I'm going for. It's nice that the distribution is much wider than people who can like walk into a store, but that's kind of what it is. And so, yeah, I don't want to be a unicorn. I'm kind of good where I am now. I want to grow it some more. It's plateaued a bit for a couple months, but it's like, it's a thing that people want. And the interactions I have with users, I do all the support myself still, which is, it is what it is. I kind of have to do that. But some of the support is like, wow, like this is really cool. This is changing the game, because most people are not sort of deep and entrenched in AI and tech and Twitter and the communities sort of around that. They're just out in the world, and they sort of hear about AI, and then this is a way for them to actually touch it in a way that improves their life, even in kind of a trivial way. But it's like, I used to sit in a meeting taking notes, and now I don't, and the notes are better, and I can be present in it, and like, thank you, like, that's made. I do get a lot of like, this is amazing, and it's like, okay, like, I didn't make the models, I just use them, I just sell them to you, but I appreciate the sentiment. I think that's good signal. It's like, there's something there, because not everyone is steeped in all the latest and greatest, and something that's like simple and on their phone gets the job done.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I love the way that you answer that question and the transparency there, because maybe the last question here, depending on timing, I want to give you, plenty of room to let it rip here. But if you could predict the next 6, 12, 18 months, maybe the answer is going to be like very short, but where are you going with it, right? What's next? What gets you excited? Because you control your own destiny. You're effectively, it sounds like bootstrapped. You have complete ownership. You don't have anybody looking at you, hey, you got to grow at this clip, and you're like, that's unsustainable. So what are you excited about?
Yeah, I mean, in the sort of other version of this where there's someone who's like, you got to grow at this sort of clip, I think I'm probably more aggressive than that person. So there's no lack of motivation to get bigger. Like, I want to make this as big as possible as fast as I can. Like, make no mistake. But I'm not like trying to change the world in like a hand wavy way. It's a utility. So what's next? Well, I've recently added Meet support so people can use that, and we're going to do Zoom next. I'm in an approval thing with Zoom. And that just came from the users. Like, I have a feedback form where people can upvote things, and I'm on chat with everyone all day. So I sort of hear what they want, and I'm just trying to like build things people want, I think. So someone wants to be able to import a document and not just an audio file and get a summary of that, or they want to snap a photo of a thing and get a summary of that, or they want to export their data to Microsoft OneNote, which I've never like met a human who uses that, but it's like the biggest thing in the world.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the like Microsoft suite that everybody uses. They want to record their Teams meeting and they want to export to Notion or Evernote. People still use Evernote too. So I'm just kind of listening to people, and when they make good suggestions and there's some like votes around that, I build that. I'm on Android and iOS. There's a web app as well. The web app needs some work. So I'm trying to sort of be on all the platform. And like I said, we're doing 6,000 hours a day, and I want to do 60,000 hours a day. And maybe that'll be enough, or I don't know. But it's fun,
I love everything about the way you're approaching it. And I love that you bar raised yourself. That's the best, self-motivated. If people want to sign up, if people don't learn more, tell us where they should go, how they can find you, engage, and get going with Wave.
Wave.co is the website with links to all the apps. Wave.co. You can find me there. Wave AI Note Taker. And I'd love to hear from people on Twitter at Josh Mohrer, JoshMohrer.
That's it. I can guarantee you're going to have a lot of people that are going to consume this content and then go directly there, because not only are you solving a very real and meaningful pain point, but who wouldn't want to work directly with the guy? There he is. That's the guy behind the technology. So appreciate your time, Josh, and congrats on building an awesome business. And we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, right on. Thanks very much. This was fun.
Cool.